ThinkReactLead TV Show. I'm your host, Dom Faussette, your executive coach and leadership speaker. There's a Jay-Z says in one of his songs, allow me to reintroduce myself. And hey, Hassan, do you know the name of that song? He gave me the look like, I don't know. But we're going to talk about reintroducing yourself, reinventing yourself, not in some weird woo-woo way. And the reason I'm bringing this up is because probably about 30 minutes ago, by the time you see this, it wouldn't have been 30 minutes ago, probably like a week ago. But I asked Hassan, hey, what should we talk about? Because I just left my radio show. And he brings up not and not yet. I'm like, wow, and I don't know if he was joking, being serious, but if you think about it, how many times has somebody asked you a question, hey, do you own a business? And you'll say no, as opposed to not yet. How many times has anybody asked you anything that's a question as it relates to progression and you say no, but you can say not yet, right? You truly don't know what your future holds, but there are ways you can control the narrative. You can control what it is that you do, or what it is you're going to do, or what you're going to become. So allow me to reintroduce myself. Should that be the name of the show? I'll let you choose the name, but I do like not and not yet. I take notes. Let me explain to you why now. Like, I started taking notes for my show. My radio show is called the American Dream Impactor Show. Started it, and I have a co-host, and she's a note taker. So every Monday, which is the day before the radio show, we get on an hour-long call and we formulate the structure of the call. So right after that, I take the notes, and usually the radio show aligns with the TV show. It makes it easier for me. I don't have to think about a bunch of different topics. And it just so happens, Hassan, myself, the show, we're all in sync. So I've got notes here. I want you to take a good long look at yourself. Like, how do I take a look at myself? Some of you need to sit down. Some of you just need to be still and be comfortable in silence. And ask yourself, where is it you want to go? And what actions are you taking today that are going to get you there? Take a look at, not so much at your past. I really don't want you to look at your past at all. Minutely, I do. Let me rephrase that. I want you to minutely take a gander at your past. And I want you to think about, what are some things that could be indicative of your success? What have you done in your past that was successful? Like, I remember when I did this with myself, I looked at my past, and I remember people always saying, Dom, you'd be a great speaker. Dom, you'd be a great radio show host. And I always batted that down. I'm like, I don't want to speak radio. Like, I have an aunt who's in the radio industry. I have some other people in my family that are speakers, and they were pastors, or they would just speak. It was never really a business. So I looked at it like, it's not my thing. I'll do this other stuff. Well, lo and behold, now I'm a speaker, and I have a radio show, and I turned into a TV show as well. But what are some of the wins? What's some of the acknowledgement? What are some of the accolades you've received because of something you've done? Now, how can you correlate that into what's next, your present and your future? Right? You have to expand on that. You have to look at it from a standpoint of, you know what? Maybe there's something to the time my third grade teacher told me I was good at this. Maybe there's something to the fact that my college professor told me I might want to look at this avenue of success or this career. Maybe there's something to that stranger just passed by me and said, wow, like, you do whatever that thing is you were doing extremely well. When we go through life, we get these signs that are like little nuggets, little breadcrumbs to the journey or the path we're supposed to go down. And oftentimes, because of our human nature, we like to butt everything like a goat. But I want to do this, but I want to do that, but that's not for me to do. Sometimes we say that based off of a lack of confidence. And if you let society or your past failures be the focus, and society allow you to focus or put in the forefront what you haven't accomplished or what you haven't done, then it's just going to beat you up and weigh on you and push you down further and further and further. Ignore that. Sometimes people will say, don't forget where you came from. Some of you need to start forgetting where you came from. Why do I say that? Because when you start thinking about where you're going and remembering where you're going, and instead of not forgetting where you come from, don't forget about what you've dreamt about. Think about that. If you can start your day not forgetting what you've dreamt about, like your first step is going to be monstrous. Your goals that you accomplish are going to be monstrous. But I'm bringing this up because there's a difference between not and not yet. And we talked about, I want you to take a long look at yourself. Now, doing that will get you back on track. Now, as you look at yourself, understand that other people are going to look at you as well. When other people look at you, and this is going to be a continued conversation, but when other people look at you, they're looking at what is your physical appearance? What do you love about your physical appearance? And we're talking about controlling the narrative. I'm going to read some of my notes here. Consider any changes you'd like to make to how you look. And it's common to go through life phases when you don't take the care with yourself that you usually do. Some of you, and I don't know why I would start here considering I'm bald, but just a quick haircut will completely shift how you see yourself. It would definitely shift how people see you. I know people say, I don't care what people think about me. Let me share something with you. If you've ever posted on social media, gone back to look at the post, to look at the likes, you care what people think about you. People say, I don't care what people think about me. You do. I mean, I don't know. You do, but there's nothing wrong with that. Concern yourself with how you perceived, because that's going to be one of the key elements to where you're going to go in your life. Nobody gets anywhere by themselves. So taking into consideration your physical appearance is huge. Get comfortable with who you are. If you're skinny, but you're not doing anything to add muscle to you, appreciate yourself. If you're overweight, but you're not doing anything to not lose weight, okay, who cares? Appreciate yourself. I'm not a dietitian. That's not what I'm here for. I just want you to love yourself. And the more you can appreciate yourself, other people will appreciate you. And I stated this on a show before, whether it's here or the radio show, I don't know where, but people can only appreciate you up to the level in which you appreciate yourself. So if you are on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being like the optimal, and then 1 being the worst, you appreciate yourself on an 8, people can, it's called the law of the lid. They can only appreciate you up to a 7. Not a 7.9. I'm going to not get into semantics, but a 7. So if you want people to appreciate you at the max, you have to appreciate yourself at the max. So just go back to when you were a kid. And we're going to talk about that when we come back from break. Again, this is the ThinkReactLead TV Show. I'm your host, Dom Faussette, your executive coach and leadership speaker, and I'll see you on the other side. Welcome back to the ThinkReactLead TV Show. I'm your host, Dom Faussette, your executive coach and leadership speaker, and we're talking about really reinventing yourself, or just the reinvention of self. Talked about very top of the show, not versus not yet. All right, some of you need to change your mindset as it relates to what you haven't accomplished. It's not that you haven't accomplished it, you just haven't accomplished it yet. Because possibly there's some lessons in life that you have to go through. If you ever see yourself going through some of the same mistakes, the same life lessons keep punching you in the face and punching you in the face and punching you in the face, then maybe, just maybe, I can't walk on water, but can make a suggestion. Maybe there's some things that you have to change that you have control over. We were talking about physical appearance at the bottom of the last segment. If you change your physical appearance, I'm going to err on the side of assumption that your self-confidence is going to increase. Go back to when you were a kid. I remember when I was a kid, now we didn't have a lot of money, but every now and then I would get something new. And we go to the store and we find it on clearance and we come home I tried it on, look in the mirror. Man, I felt I was fresh. You couldn't tell me anything. It happened once in a blue moon. Putting on a new pair of pants, putting on a new shirt, treating yourself to some new shoes or some new cowboy boots. However you get down, right? Treating yourself to just something different. Really, it's treating yourself. Acknowledging to self that, you know what, you deserve it. Some of you go through life, you may not verbally say, I don't deserve it, but your carriage is indicative of somebody who operates out of a space of, I do not deserve. You don't walk with your head up, your chest out, your chin up, your shoulders back, right? You don't walk with command presence, right? But you need to change your physical appearance. Don't just be comfortable, but be like the man, the woman. Like when you walk out, and you know what I'm talking about. You just feel like, you know what? The world is mine. And it's mine for the taking. Now, will you feel like that every day? No. But feeling like that as often as you can is a beautiful thing. So now let's jump into, if I got in my notes, recognizing your strong points. If you don't know what your strong points are, ask those that love you, what are some strengths that you bring to this world? And maybe you say they don't love me, but they know you. What are some strengths that you bring to this world? Then ask yourself, or I would say, Dom, what are some strengths that you bring to this world? Start writing those things down. Don't be embarrassed to write them down. Nobody's around. It's just you. Write down the strengths. See, when you can list your strengths, or somebody can convey that information to you, you start to apply those strengths to your life. Our production guy is going crazy right now. He's got the sound and he is not liking the outdoor noise. It doesn't bother me. Those strengths as applied to your life are going to change every single step that you make. The confidence that you have is going to be ridiculous. Why? Because your focus, your intention, your energy is all going to vehemently be directed to your future. When I took the compliments that I got about how I orate or how I told a story or how I spoke, and to me it's like, I don't want to do it. I'm just doing it honestly in the corporate space. I spoke in the meetings to get out of doing the actual work, because as long as I could speak well and sell without having to write stuff down and do research and put a team together at the time, it made my life way easier because it just came natural for me. But when I realized it was a strength, I took it serious. I joined a Toastmasters club, which is a speaking, almost like a free speaking club. It's like a chess club. And then I did speaking competitions, which I didn't even know was a thing. And then I started getting serious, started getting paid to speak. But some of you have strengths in other areas. Do you know what your strengths are? If you want to really get dialed into your strengths, go to my Instagram at Dom Faussette. And in the bio, there's a Passion to Profit. I have an ebook called Passion to Profit. And there's a section in there that talks about finding your strengths. But when you know what your strengths are, and I say strengths with an S as in plural, maybe it's just strength. Maybe it's just one. But if you focus on that one, it opens doors. So I focused on my speaking. Then I started doing a podcast. I guess it kind of falls in line. Then I started doing radio. Then I started speaking on stage. Then I started doing voice acting. Then I started a TV show. Like one focus dialed in consistently opens up doors for everything else. Your gift is the difference between not receiving what the world has for you and receiving what the world has for you. And what I mean by that is operating your gift, operating your strength. Everything else opens up for you, but you have to get dialed in on what that strength is. And there's a level of confidence, of command presence that takes place when you get dialed in on said gift. So although your mind hasn't been in a place to really notice what you're great at, take some time to do just that. Maybe you're a great cook. Maybe you're a great seamstress. You want to start a fashion line? You know how to sew? Right. I got a buddy now, Kenneth Boggs. He started in the clothing space years ago, But his suits today, you'll see him on movies. He's always on some Tyler Perry set or some Hollywood set or doing commercials or getting somebody altered or whatever the verbiage is for NFL players, NBA players, Major League Baseball players. But it didn't start there. It started with acknowledging what his strength was. So what is your strength? And for those of you that maybe consider yourself an introvert, or maybe you lack confidence, it's okay. It's totally fine. In your downtime, in your own time, in your place that you're comfortable, don't look in the mirror. Just look at your pen and paper and just think, you know what? What are my strengths? What is my strength? Maybe you're a designer. Maybe you're a graphic designer. Maybe you're an artist. Maybe you're a good coach. Maybe maybe you're a scientist. Whatever it is, you can teach somebody else, and that's how you kind of collapse those timelines on that. That's how you create a business out of it. Understanding your strengths, which leads us. So before I go on to the next topic, when you know what your strength is, you have to reiterate it to yourself day in and day out. This is the reason why. I was at a dinner over the weekend, and I asked a guy what it was he doing, and he kind of smiled, and like for work, he was in transition to starting his own company, but he started whispering it. And we were around a bunch of other people he knew, he was close to. Some of the people he was around was family, and he's like, I haven't really told anybody, but I'm going to do this business. I was like, why haven't you told anybody? Well, I just don't want to deal with the negativity. And I asked him, how do you know you're going to have to deal with negativity? Oh, I just know how they are. And I stopped the conversation there because it wasn't going anywhere that was productive or fruitful. But if that's the conversation you have with yourself, if you expect negativity, you're going to get negativity. If nobody knows what your strengths are or what it is that you want to do, nobody can help you. So don't be afraid to tell your family. I would rather know who supports me and who doesn't support me from day one than wait to find out down the road. Just put it out there. What the worst thing that can happen, they don't support you. Or that their family, like most family members do, they clown you. It's okay. They make fun of you. It's okay. But start putting it out there. Like, hey, I'm a good speaker. Do you know anybody that wants, hey, I want to try speaking at a high school, speaking at a junior high. When I very first started speaking, I was a cop. And I would speak in children's church, and I would speak at the elementary school on my beat. I'm like, if I can speak to third graders, so I thought, I can speak to anybody. Third graders are the cruelest group of people on this earth. They have no filter. They just say things, and they don't know how to pay attention. So what I thought was going to be, it's easier to speak to adults than it is to speak to third graders. But at least I tried it. I don't speak to third graders now, but find an audience to share your strength with and watch success take off from there. Again, I'm Dom Faussette, your executive coach and leadership speaker. You're watching the ThinkReactLead TV Show, and we'll see you on the other side. Welcome back to the ThinkReactLead TV Show. I'm your host, Dom Faussette. Let's continue this and do the Dom thing. You know, I was reminded, so I'm in the middle at the time. By the time you see this, I would have been certified already, but I'm in the middle of getting scuba certified. And it's amazing how we think certain things. I'm in the middle of getting scuba certified, and there's a lot that I've learned. But two of the instructors in the class, they're obviously instructors, so they're master divers. They go shark diving. They go to the Florida Keys, I think, is where they go. And as I'm speaking, they're on their way to Florida to go look at tiger sharks and bull sharks. And so I started asking questions. I'm like, okay, you're not afraid of sharks? And he's like, you know what? You race motorcycles. Are you afraid to race motorcycles? I'm like, heck no, it's fun. He said, I wouldn't do that. That just seems dangerous. So I thought about it. I was like, okay, I can see where you're going. So I said, what is it like down there? He said, sharks don't bother you. He said, you go down, you see these majestic animals, and we drop what he was saying was we drop a bait box, I think is what it's called. Sharks come to the bait box. We swim on the other side or away from it. And they come and they circle. You see how big they are. And if they come by you, you just look at them and they'll typically, but they'll scurry away. And I said, how long have you been doing this? He said, I've been doing this for 4 or 5 years. Shark diving specifically. And he said, I've never had any issues. Now he's never done this with great whites. He said, but you just know there's certain places in the ocean that you don't go, certain times of the year that you don't go, like during mating season. And it actually calmed me because I was like, wow, I will shark dive. It just seemed very interesting. Just being underwater in an environment that you cannot control and experiencing something that goes against what we've been taught. Earth, walking around your neighborhood. This is an environment you cannot control. I get it, you're powerful, but you can't control any environment that you're in. You can kind of dictate how things turn out, but you can't control the overall environment. And in not being able to control the overall environment, as you look at the things that are going on, are there some negative beliefs that you hold because of what you've been taught or because of what you've learned through a different source than the source, right? I'm an 80s baby. Everybody that grew up around the same time I grew up, our parents sat down and we watched Jaws. Jaws 1. Jaws 1 set the stage for kids, to include myself, even grown, to be afraid of getting into the water. It got to the point where I would go swimming in a lake and I would think, I can't see my feet. There might be a shark down there. Trust me, in California, Arizona, there's no sharks in the lake. But that image, right, that experience changed my perception until I went to the source, as close to the source as I could, which is somebody who actually experienced, not via a camera, but went into the ocean and hung out with sharks and was able to tell me, it's like, sharks are very nice. They're kind. Now, I'm using sharks in his analogy, but what are some types of people, races, religions, cultures, right, that you may have been taught via your parents, via friends, via maybe your military experience, via the media? You've been taught to think adversely as opposed to changing the people that you engage with. And I've said this, and I will always say this. Success comes from changing the 5 types of people you're around. If the 5 closest people to you act like you, look like you, think like you, believe like you, and sound like you, you'll never grow. Like when I got out of the military, everybody I hung out with was a veteran. Or when I became a cop, everybody I hung out with was a cop. Even after law enforcement, everybody I hung out with was a police officer or a first responder. That wasn't a benefit to me. So when you think about these things, you're able to come from a standpoint of, I'm just going to be inquisitive. I don't have to be the answer. I'm looking for answers. So let's get back into what we were talking about. Reinvention of self. Part of what we were talking about, yes, falls right into that. And when it comes to what you're the most proud of, or maybe consider it this way, what do you feel are your greatest achievements? What are your greatest achievements? What is the thing that you sit back to yourself and say, wow, like I did that. I don't care how long ago it was, but my additional ask to you is, what else am I going to achieve? See, it's not versus not yet, not versus not yet. What haven't you done yet? I've also noticed this. The more I explore, the more I feel I'm pushing the limits, the more I get to take in, the more I get to feel and see. So I took up racing motorcycles. When I say racing, tracking, I don't race. In my head, I'm a MotoGP racer. When me and my wife are going around the track and we're pushing each other. But then I was like, okay, what's next? My sister-in-law got me a gift certificate to get scuba dive certified. Next year, 2023, maybe the end of this year, depending upon the weather, I'll get skydive certified. I want to see the world from all the different vantage points that I have access to. You should want to see yourself from all the different vantage points that you have access to. You should also want to see the world from all the different vantage points. And it dawned on me when I was out racing my Ducatis with my wife. I ran into a guy that he also races tracks. And I said, "Where you been, man? I haven't seen you." He said, "I just got back from Italy and Spain. I went out there skydiving." And I said, "How was it?" He pulls up this video. Now, this video was him skydiving in Mexico, but it was a video of him. I don't know how high he was, but he was up there. But as he was landing, I saw the beach, I saw the ocean, and he jumped over the ocean, but landed on the beach. I thought that was the coolest thing in the world. And here we are racing motorcycles. Like, the types of people that you put yourself around that push the envelope on things will allow you to, or help you to, get comfortable in pushing the envelopes in your space. I'm sitting here having a conversation with two people that shark dive, and they made it sound like it was as simple as walking into a library or walking into the grocery store. He said, "Yeah, it's no big deal. You get, 5-10 people, you go into the ocean, you get down there, and some people take pictures and some people just experience and take it all in. They enjoy the moment. And it's easy. If you ever want to go out, you can go with us next time." He made it sound so relaxing that I'm like, yeah, it just makes sense. Why wouldn't I go shark diving? Now, sitting here away from him talking about it, I'm like, I don't know. Let me rethink this. But most of the things where I have found the most excitement and joy in life, I've questioned. Not questioned to the point of not doing it. I've questioned, is this a good thing to do? If I have to ask myself, is this good? As in, am I going to be safe? I just do it. Do I crash? I've never crashed my bike. I used to downhill longboard. I crashed, but I think I crashed. I was showing off in front of my wife, who was my girlfriend at the time. So as long as you're not showing off and you're coming from a place of focus for you, not for somebody else. So do it for you, not for somebody else. You're going to experience whatever the it is in a space of not and not yet. So when I say not and not yet, as it relates to your experience, it's not, I'm not experiencing this. So as you're doing something that may cause a little nervousness, it's not, I'm not experiencing it, or I'm not enjoying the experience. I'm not enjoying the experience yet. Say that, whatever the experience is, I'm not enjoying the experience yet. Not versus not yet. Hassan, thank you very much for that idea. On the top, he just gave me the thumbs up. One day I'm gonna have him as a guest on my show. He's laughing like, no, I'm not. No, you're not. I'm going to try. I'll do my best. But it all goes back to reinventing yourself. Reinventing yourself from a standpoint of who you attract, how you attack your business, how you attack your life, how you experience your life, how life experiences, you allow that to change you. Once you allow life experiences to change you, you have a greater perspective of how the world works. And when you have a greater perspective of how the world works, you will no longer have negative stereotypes, and you'll no longer have adverse expectations on how you show up in the world. Again, I'm Dom Faussette. This is the Think React Lead TV Show. Have a good day, and we'll see you on the other side.